So in this video, I am going to clarify the concept of Sentinel controlled while loop through a small Java demo program. So let us start with a simple count controlled loop, and then I will move towards a Sentinel controlled loop. So let me give you an example of count controlled loop first. So let's say iterate the while loop until the value of loop control variable is 10, and well, for that, start the loop control variable, start the loop control variable with value 0, with, let's say, 0, and then iterate the while loop until the value of loop control variable, or simply you can say the loop variable like this, is 10. So let us write the while loop for that first. So let's say I have int loop count. I am initializing it with 0, and then I am writing a while loop, let's say like this, while, and then inside parenthesis loop count is less than 10, and then doing system dot out dot print. Let me print the value of the loop count. So let's say this is it will be loop count equals plus loop count, then so just a space in here. So this line will print like loop count equals the value of loop count, and then followed by space, or instead of space, just let me use a new line character so that everything is in a new line. And then in the modification part of the loop count, I am using a simple arithmetic operation equals loop count plus plus, so which is the same as writing like loop count equals loop count plus 1. So simple like that. So the modification part is basically nothing but an arithmetic operation which is controlling the while loop, which is incrementing the count of the loop. uh, Here there is a spelling mistake. So this is an arithmetic operation. In this case it is just an increment by 1. That arithmetic operation is actually incrementing the count of the loop, and that count is controlling the entire while loop, and that is why it is called count controlled while loop. So let me run this program and let's see what happened. And as you can see, the count started from 0 and it incremented 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and then 9. And whenever the count of the loop control variable touches 10, it just broke the loop. And just for the specific output, like let's say system dot out dot print, let me write down another line called out of loop. So if I just run it once again, everything will be same, just an out have been added, just to show you that, well, once the count of the loop variable touched 10, it get out of the loop. So the count have controlled the while loop. So that is about the loop count controlled while loop. Now let us just comment out this entire program and let us try to understand a Sentinel controlled while loop. So what is a Sentinel controlled while loop? Now this time start a loop control variable, loop control variable with, let's say, value 1, and iterate the while loop until the iterate the while loop until then, until when the user modifies, or let me phrase the question like this: start the loop control variable with 1, then let the user modify the loop variable in the end of each iteration, and iterate the while loop until when the user input is not 0. User input for the loop control variable, for the loop control variable, or simply the loop variable is 0, is not 0. Until then I have to iterate. So that is the idea of a Sentinel controlled while loop. So here the user has the freedom to modify the value in the end of each iteration, and that is called the Sentinel control. So let us see an example. So let us start with the loop control variable. Let me give another name. Since we are going to take user input, so I am giving name input for the loop control variable. So let me write down int input, and I would like to start it with 1. Then a while loop. So so now there will be a while loop. And how long should the while loop continue? Should it iterate? Until when the user input is not 0. So you have to check whether input is not equals 0. So that's the condition for breaking the while loop. Now here basically what you have to do, let's say I want to print the value of the loop control variable, like let's say system.out.print, and here basically what I want to do is let's say input equals plus the value of input over here, and then just a new line character. So it will just print input equals then the value of input in here, whatever value will be in of input will store in the end of each iteration. Sorry, in the beginning of each iteration. So that will be printed, and after that what I need to do now, here is the main difference. So now what I have to do is I have to take the input, I have to modify the input by taking a user, taking the input from the user. So how can I do that? In order to do that, I have to use a scanner class, of course. So scanner, let's say s equals new scanner system.in. Then so if you have forgot about scanner class, you can go to the input output video before, and you can get some idea of scanner class, how to take input from the user. And well, now so let me use the scanner class to take the input. So how can I take an input? So let's say input equals s dot next will take the input from the user, and it will store inside input. But as you know from the video of input output, that since the data type of input is int, you have to change it explicitly, because Java, this s.next basically reads in the form of a string only from the user. So in order to convert it to integer, you have to do integer dot parse int, like this way, and in this. And now in order to utilize this scanner class, what you have to do is you have to import the library where the scanner class is there. So you have to write java dot util, so import java util dot scanner. So like this. So now as you can see, now my while loop is ready, and well, just for the sake of convenience, just for easy understanding, let me give a nice message to the user so that the user can easily understand that by the end of the iteration the user needs to enter something. So here let's say enter, or let's say call enter, or modify input. So here actually basically the user will enter or modify the value of input, and here it is a nice prompt for the user so that user can give the value. So every iteration what I am expecting, user can enter the value of choice, any type of positive or negative number, and it will be checked with the while loop, and if it is not equals 0, it will print that user input, and whenever, and then it will again ask a new input from the user by the end of the while loop, and in this way it will keep on iterating, and whenever the user input will be 0, it will just break the while loop. And let me just explicitly show whether the loop is breaking or not by printing a print statement. Let's say this is out. So let me run this program and let us see what happened. So first time the value of input is 1, so it should print to 1 here, and then it should ask enter or modify, ask the user to enter or modify the input. So let's see. So here I ran the program and it is asking me to enter a modify input. So let's assume input is 2. So it went again inside the while loop and asking me for a new input. So let's say 4. So it now it is asking me for another input, and now let us give the input as 0 and let's see what happened. And whenever I have in my input is 0, it just broke the while loop and printed out, and went out of the while loop and print out over here for this line. So as you can see, by the end of each iteration, user is basically changing the value of the loop control variable input in our case, and after changing it, if the value of the value the user entered is not equals 0, then the while loop is executing again, that is iterating once again and asking the user to enter or modify the input once more, and whenever the user input is 0 for in the end of one iteration, it just break the while loop and go out of it. So that is about the Sentinel controlled while loop.